This is a story about how Americans used parachute beavers to save the ecosystem. In the 1940s, local officials in Idaho decided to gather the population of these animals and relocate them to remote areas to improve the landscape and restore the ecosystem. This unconventional solution became part of a large-scale environmental protection initiative, a reign of beavers. Some areas were so remote from human settlements that there were simply no roads. Local authorities faced this problem and came up with an original solution. The Idaho Fish and Game Company decided to use parachutes left over from World War II to drop beavers right into their new homes. This unusual and bold solution attracted a lot of attention. Initially, fishermen and hunters decided that beavers should be placed in woven willow boxes. They believed that the rodents would be able to chew their way out after landing. However, this plan did not work. The beavers were unwilling to wait and quickly broke the boxes before they even landed. This created additional difficulties and forced the authorities to look for another solution. In response to this problem, specialists from Idaho Fish and Game developed a special case that opens upon impact with the ground. The experts decided to test the new design on an impatient beaver named Geronimo. After several successful test drops in the field, they became confident in the design's effectiveness and its ability to ensure the animal's safety during the drop. This experience was an important step in the unique operation of relocating beavers, which led to the successful restoration of ecosystems in remote areas. Thus, a real reign of beavers fell over Idaho. The project to relocate these rodents continued until 1948. Today, their descendants inhabit a part of the largest protected wilderness forest, which stretches across 48 states in the U.S. Now, nearly 70 years later, NASA's satellite images have shown remarkable results. The areas where the beavers were relocated have become significantly greener and more lush. These areas not only took on a new appearance, but also became more resilient to natural disasters like fires and droughts. According to Earthsky, the impact of beavers on the ecosystem turned out to be much deeper than initially thought. By building dams and ponds, beavers contributed to an increase in biodiversity, as the new water bodies attracted many other species of animals and plants. This became a great example of how one action can trigger a chain reaction of changes in nature. The story of the beaver paratroopers vividly demonstrates the importance of ecosystem restoration and shows how humanity can use natural mechanisms to improve the state of the environment. Evidence from space. When you compare a section of a stream where beavers have built their homes with a neighboring stream where these animals are absent, the difference becomes obvious. Areas inhabited by beavers look much greener and lusher, with wide bands of vegetation. This indicates the positive impact these animals have on the environment. In 2018, a severe fire destroyed over 60,000 acres of land in the Bow Creek area. However, images taken after this catastrophic event showed that the lush and wet areas around the beaver dams remained virtually untouched by the fire. So, what can we conclude? Modern NASA satellite images confirm that the plan to improve the ecosystem using parachute beavers was successful and yielded impressive results, showing how one action can significantly change and improve the state of nature. What is a beaver doing in the Arabian desert? Beavers could adapt by adding seeds and fruits from local drought-resistant plants to their diet, which would help them obtain the necessary nutrients. Using their skills, beavers could create artificial water sources by finding rare streams or oases to form small ponds, which would provide them with drinking water. In the hot conditions of the desert, beavers could build shelters from natural materials to protect themselves from the sun and reduce the risk of overheating. Beavers should collaborate with local animals, such as rodents or birds, to find food and water, which would help them survive in new conditions. A key factor for survival would be learning and adaptation. Beavers could study local conditions and develop strategies for finding food and shelter. Although beavers are not typical desert dwellers, their ability to adapt could help them survive in the Arabian desert by changing their diet, creating water bodies, building shelters, and collaborating with other species. Dixie Creek. In the late 1980s, biologists raised the alarm. The prolonged heat and people's neglect of nature led to the drying up of Dixie Creek. After analyzing the situation, experts recommended that farmers change their approach to grazing livestock. Animals were now prohibited from being near the creek, which allowed the riparian vegetation to recover. Previously exposed to negative impacts, beavers have become real heroes of the ecosystem. They skillfully build dams on water bodies, which helps them defend against predators and gather food. These structures slow down the flow of water, which in turn has a positive effect on the riparian vegetation. Grasses, flowers, and shrubs begin to thrive. Thus, beavers not only create comfortable conditions for themselves, but also contribute to the restoration of the surrounding nature. The dams on Dixie Creek played a key role in increasing the population of fish, aquatic animals, and plants. As a result, the creek fully recovered, and its banks transformed into a green oasis. Wild animals and birds began to come regularly for a drink. For a southern state with a desert climate, this became a true wonder of nature. The oldest dam was discovered by scientists in 2005, and preliminary estimates suggest it could have been built around 125,000 years ago. These animals use only natural materials: trees, branches, grass, mud, stones, and dirt. Olga Gorilovskaya, a biologist and employee of the Kozenski State Nature Biosphere Reserve, explains why beavers build their dams. Beavers live in lodges that rise above the water level to protect their homes from predators like foxes, wolves, lynxes, and felines. The entrance must be underwater. That's why beavers maintain a high water level in rivers and streams with their dams. Biologist Alexandra Nikolayenkova also spoke about the positive impact of beavers on the environment. Dams built by beavers have a significant impact on ecosystems. New ponds are formed, riverbeds change, and even their flow. The area, transformed by beaver activity, is sometimes referred to as a beaver landscape. In their habitats, beavers not only build dams but also dig burrows, create paths, and make channels. By coming together in colonies, they not only saved a stream in the Wild West over 3 decades but also fully restored it, along with an entire ecosystem in a dry desert. The problem with the diet was that there wasn't enough vegetation in the desert to serve as food for the beavers. Considering this, scientists decided to change the beavers' diet by adding seeds and fruits from local plants. This change was necessary to provide the beavers with enough nutrients and allow them to adapt to the conditions they found themselves in. Beavers quickly adapted to the new diet and began to reproduce actively, which surprised the researchers. The scientists were amazed by the beavers' ability to adapt to such extreme conditions in which they had never lived before. This indicated that beavers have a high flexibility in their food choices and can adapt to changing circumstances. The experiment lasted several months, and the results were simply impressive. Beavers not only survived in the desert, but also successfully adapted to the new conditions, starting to build dams and create new bodies of water. This research showed that beavers are incredibly resilient and adaptive animals, capable of surviving in the most extreme conditions and changing their lives depending on the environment. Their example inspires and demonstrates how important it is to preserve biodiversity and support ecosystems. Undoubtedly, this experiment raised many questions and debates within the scientific community. Some scientists expressed their criticism, believing that such approaches are impractical and unethical, as subjecting animals to such tests may be wrong. They raised important questions about the moral responsibility of researchers and how such experiments can affect the well-being of animals. On the other hand, many scientists viewed this experiment as a unique opportunity to study the amazing ability of animals to adapt to changes in their environment. They believed that such research could lead to important discoveries that would help deepen the understanding of survival mechanisms and changes in animal behavior in response to extreme conditions. Various opinions emerged during the discussion. Some researchers emphasize the importance of ethical standards in conducting experiments, while others, on the contrary, highlighted the scientific value of the information obtained. This dialogue became an important part of the scientific process, encouraging scientists to think more deeply about research methods and their consequences. Ultimately, this experiment opened new horizons in understanding ecology and animal behavior, becoming a valuable contribution to science. Beavers in Antarctica. The largest desert in the world is Antarctica. Although deserts are often associated with hot and dry climates, Antarctica is considered a cold desert, as it is characterized by extremely low precipitation and vast barren areas. Imagine an amazing scenario. Beavers, known for their building skills and ability to alter ecosystems, settled in Antarctica. What impact could this have on this cold and harsh continent? The first thing to note is the change in the landscape. Beavers would start building dams on rivers and streams, creating artificial bodies of water. These dams would slow down the flow of water, promoting the formation of ponds and marshes. As a result, the area around the water bodies would become wetter and greener. This could lead to the emergence of new ecosystems, where other species of animals and plants that are currently absent in Antarctica would inhabit. However, with the increase in vegetation and water bodies, new challenges would also arise. By building their dams, beavers could alter the natural balance of the ecosystem, which would affect the existing species. Some animals, like seals and penguins, could face difficulties in finding food due to changes in their habitat. This would create a need for research and observation to understand how the new conditions affect the local fauna. By observing the behavior of beavers and their impact on the environment, scientists could understand how climate change affects ecosystems. If beavers settled in Antarctica, it could lead to significant changes in the landscape and ecosystem of the continent. On one hand, they could contribute to increased biodiversity and the creation of new bodies of water. On the other hand, their presence could cause problems for existing species. This scenario highlights the importance of understanding the interconnections in ecosystems and how one change can impact the entire environment. Beavers are small ecosystem engineers. They help restore natural landscapes, making them potential allies in environmental conservation efforts. I hope you learned a lot of new and interesting things from this video. Want to surprise and delight people? Join our team. We create content that inspires. If you can edit videos, voice over clips, or write interesting scripts, we would love to have you on the team. Message our Telegram bot and let's make the world brighter together.